Fire Escape Academy, inspector training. Okay, we're down here in Springfield.
Look at that.
And we got a fire escape here that, again, must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. So let's go for the easiest part before you write a violation. Has she been kept painted?
It's been kept painted, but it's gonna fail.
There's no paint on this thing.
No?
It's all rust, 100% rust.
Huh.
So she must be kept painted, must be structurally sound. So now she's already failed the paint test. Can you order a load test if it's got no paint? Yes, because it's part of your maintenance. It's either a maintenance issue or a structural issue. Right now you got a maintenance issue. And I will prove to you that rust grows from the connection out. So as soon as you get a fire escape that's been ignored, and this thing to rust it out 100% took 25 plus years. It rusted from the connection, and look at the railing, I mean, where the ladder meets at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Do you see the remnants of a bolt?
Yeah.
Now, that means that if you let the thing rust 100%, every connection has been compromised. So the worst thing you could ever do to a fire escape is let it rust 100%, because it doesn't rust from the inside out. It actually rusts from the outside in. It rusts from the inside out.
Right.
So right now, this fire escape that somebody in this building has ignored for 25 years, is she structurally sound in any way? So she's compromised every connection. So you write a violation, and the cure.
Somebody working on it up there.
Yep.
You got the wire ties right there holding it up.
Yep. And the ladder broke already. So you think a fireman's already going to get hurt on this one?
Yes. Absolutely.
So this one has one more thing.
It's
got life safety issues.
Yeah.
So now, what has to happen on this particular building when you write the violation on this one? Is it a simple fire escape violation? This is a life
refurbish.
But this is a life safety issue.
Right.
So even before they get a chance to refurbish, even before they get anything, you might order a watch over here. You might order some scaffolding, temporary scaffolding to take this, or you want emergency repairs on this right away, because right now, can any of these tenants get out without this thing collapsing and hurting themselves?
No.
A fireman in the middle of the night with smoky conditions, would he notice these things when he's jumping on this thing?
No.
So is this a life safety issue?
Yes.
So right now you've got situations when you get there, and this is the bastard child of egress. Nobody cares about these things. But this one is not. This is a hand grenade with a pin already pulled out.
Yeah.
Let's go. There's another one right next to it. Let's see what this next one can do. And then we're gonna go hit that one over there. That looks like it's been kept painted. Somebody just refurbished it and repainted it. So, I thought there was another one here. And we're gonna go hit that other fire escape over there. But let's walk around the. Do you know this address?
Yes.
Across. So now must be structurally sound. Must be kept painted. Let's take a look at because we're doing what's called a downtown walk around, and we do this all the time with fire departments all over the country. And all these videos are free online, from Boston to California to Seattle to Texas, Chicago. We can get in this way. So the rule in every code, NFPA, building code, fire codes, housing codes, must be kept painted, must be structurally sound. This one looks like somebody kept it painted, right? She looks pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Looks like they changed all the grading out. This looks like a full refurb. Okay. What do you think so far?
I think it looks new.
Looks new. Well, it looks. Let's look at a couple things that we have to concern ourselves with. Is it a bolted fire escape, or is it a welded fire escape?
Welded.
Okay. And let me tell you the concerns you might have with weld. Welds, unless they're sealed, do you think the water gets in from above and eats these welds?
Imagine.
So, because they just recently painted this thing, let's take a look at some indication. This is a grade indicator right here. See this grading? Look straight up and look at the angle. You see some bulging happening on the angle that's holding up the grading? So she's tack welded, but you see some bulges. You see that the thing is waving?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's rust behind there.
There's rust behind it. Now look at the treads. Look straight up at these treads. Right?
Yeah.
The bulges?
Yeah, in the center.
So even though she looks great, she looked like a new fire escape to you. Look straight up here. How do you get that big of a bulge?
Rust.
Only rust, right? So this is an all welded fire escape. The only way, actually, let's go down here. Thank God for zoom lens here. Look at every one of those. And do you see bulges in every single one?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're about to write a violation on this one to do what? What's the first order on the
Load test.
Yeah, I need a load test, right? And the guy's gonna come back to you and say, hey, but I just had it all painted. I just had it refurbished. You say, yes, but I need a structural engineer. I've noticed evidence of rust in your connections. And what's the cure? How can I verify, besides a load test, a welded connection? How can I verify it? Are you aware of what it is?
No.
It's with an X-ray. You know how expensive an X-ray is to X-ray every one of these welds?
Yeah.
You want to know a cheaper one? If I go in and I drill every single one of these and I put a bolt in there, what's the new connection now? The bolt or the old weld?
The bolt.
But I have a problem because the rust is still in there. So do I just put in new bolts and leave the rust, or do I still have to clean out all the rust?
I'd imagine you have to take off the tread
Exactly.
and clean it off.
And then put it back with a bolt. So the cure
But
here.
sealed, painted.
So the cure here is I come in and have a vendor drill holes in the current position. Just drill 2 holes, one in the back, one in the front, prior to cutting off a tread. Then with a little cutting disc, they cut the front weld and the back weld because that's all it has. Remove the tread, clean it, prime it, paint it, put it back on. But back on with a weld or back on with the bolt?
Bolt.
Back on the bolt. If I put back bolts, do I need a load test?
No.
No, perfect. Now let's talk about these supports here. This a welded connection or a bolted connection? Down at the corner here.
The frame is bolt or welded.
Right, so you want me to bring out my X-ray machine, or can I just pop a bolt over here? And will you be satisfied if I reinforce that weld with a bolt? The bottom corner.
It's still got to be taken apart and cleaned, doesn't it?
No, it's nice. There's no rust in it. Obviously, anything that has rust in it, we got to always clean. But this is a pristine connection down here, and she's great. A load test will verify that for you, right?
Yeah.
Or an X-ray will verify that for you. But if I pop a bolt through that good connection, do you still want me to load test it?
Well, you gotta see if there's rust down in between those two right there.
No, I understand. Let's assume that it's a pristine connection.
Okay.
There is no rust.
And you put a
My question to you is that I can only load test it at great expense, X-ray it at great expense, but as soon as I keep my weld, which is good.
Right.
Obviously, anything bad I have to fix, like the treads. I have to fix.
Bolt in it, it's refurbished.
As soon as I put a bolt in it and I back up that weld with a bolt, do you want me to load test it anymore? Okay, now let's talk about the connection into the building. See these 2 connections down here into the building?
Yeah.
Now, there's enough there to do one of 2 things. There's enough thread coming out of there. Can I do a pull test on that?
Absolutely.
Can I also duplicate that connection, or can I verify it inside the building because maybe there's a plate? So if I provide you with a plate, let's say it's an exposed wall inside, and I provide you with a photograph of the plate and it looks good, the outside is good, the inside is good, do I need to load test it?
No.
So there's the evidence. As long as I give you physical evidence that everything checked out. Otherwise, if I can get inside, it's buried, it's hidden behind sheetrock, can I do an epoxy bolt next to this one,
Yes.
5 inches away, and avoid the load test? Great. Can I also do a pull test on these with a machine that tests, that verifies? I try to yank that as best I can and it didn't come out.
Yes.
Can I do that in lieu of a load test? It's called a pull test.
I believe so.
Yep, you can. So now you've got this fire escape which looks great, and if you come down here, I still need to load test it. And if you look straight up here, and now you're doing all this from the ground, right? What about that middle grading and the clip that's against the wall? Do you see evidence of rust buildup?
Clip that's against the wall.
The angle that's against the wall,
Yes.
holding the only piece of grading that every person and every fireman is going to be stepping on during a fire.
Yeah, I see it bubble up.
See it?
That's a really bad weld.
Well, it would be up against it, but if you get underneath it, you can literally see the bulge. Actually, you can only go so far. Oh, sorry about that. And all the treads, any evidence of rusting on all the treads.
Yeah, they're bulging.
And how about way up there? Now, this is all from the ground. You're not even using zoom or binoculars or anything, are you? And how about this one? How dangerous is that one up there now? So somebody got sold a very nice paint job here.
Yes.
And that's at least 1/2 inch of bulge up there?
Uh-huh.
Okay? So somebody's going to come in and say, hey, I'll load test it as is. Will you allow a load test as is? With, with evidence of rust in the connections. Will you ever load test anything with evidence of rust still in the connection? So I will you will allow any load test to occur as long as the rust in the internal rust has been removed. Otherwise, if somebody wants to load test something that still has internal rust, that engineer is not qualified.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's like me, you know, load testing one of your fire hoses with a big gash on it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, dude, it's got a gash. Oh yeah, it'll be fine. No, it ain't gonna be fine. It's gonna blow up with a high pressure on one of my guys. All right, so this fire escape, which looks pristine, and this happens all the time. Now let's talk about the weight box here. Let's assume that this is a building that has children and women. See that big weight box there? Yeah. It needs what's called a release arm, and I can actually put a release arm right about here. And that release arm will come down and actually act as a pin, so that only from above, when I push it and I release it, it'll drop 2 to 3 feet per second. Otherwise, I have to walk out so far so that it comes down and drops down. Now, do you have a bollard issued here?
Yes.
Okay, so you got all these vehicles. So if there was an emergency today, we have a problem already today. Okay? She's gonna smash into cars. So we need 2 bollards here. One here, about 4 feet, 5 feet away from the building, because this won't come down. So let's give you a little quick class on what happens. A 150-pound woman and a 50-pound child, right?
Yeah.
Comes down the stairs. They go out to about halfway, and there was no cars here, and she starts coming down. She's already halfway out. Is it going to come down 2 to 3 feet per second or 5 to 10 feet per second?
I'd say 5 to 10.
She hits the ground violently and ejects the mother. As soon as the 150-pound mother is ejected, what happens to the 50-pound child? Back up 10 feet.
Yep.
The mother is down below here. She's going to ask that child to do what?
Come out farther.
Come out farther and do what?
To get it down.
And jump down.
Yeah.
No, the 50-pound child will never get this down.
Yeah.
When you guys arrive, you guys have to use your pike pole to pull this thing down to get that child off. And then one of your guys has to sit here during the whole fire and hold it down. Otherwise, what happens to this thing?
It'll go back up.
It'll go back up, trapping any and all firemen to repeat the process. So this is supposed to have a release arm here. It's supposed to be perfectly balanced with 25 pounds on the nose the most, and it drops by itself. And then when you reposition it, there's a guy down at the bottom, a guy at the top with a release arm handle, and this guy throws it up. That's how perfectly balanced it is, like a seesaw. He just throws it up with his hands, and the guy up there reconnects it back in, and it's set for the next fire. That's how a drop cantilever is supposed to work, okay? All right, let's go look at another one. So did this one pass or fail?
Fail.
Fail. Even though it looks great.
Yeah.
Looks great, but she failed. Because there's rust in every tread connection and rust in every platform connection. So, Fire Escape Academy Inspector Training. Let's go on to the next one.